everyone. Okay, so from the jump, this episode further demonstrated just how much more dangerous the Seraphim pacifist models are compared to the Kuma ones, which is, while the Kuma ones might have more raw strength and power, arguably, than the Seraphim models, the Seraphims themselves are definitely more dangerous by virtue of the fact that, well, obviously being modeled after the Lunarians and several other people we know in the world of One Piece, they also are imbued with devil fruit powers, as shown with the Jinbe. The Jinbe model had used Senor Pink's power. Now, to answer the question of how that's possible, well, like everything else so far, the answer is basically cloning. Vegapunk has successfully found a way to clone not just a person, but also a devil fruit's abilities, and graft them onto the Seraphim. So it's further showing the idea that he really is a genius and how dangerous that intellect really is. Of course, with this also comes the revelation of the rest of the Vegapunk clones or satellites, known as Edison, Pythagoras, and York, which you can definitely tell the former two represent the more eccentric sides of Vegapunk's brain, like the kind that just loves science and making scientific discoveries without being restriction. Like, he just loves to. It's one of those things that really does give us insight that Vegapunk really is a scientist at heart. He loves science to its core. Now, with York, it's honestly hard to really talk about her without giving away spoilers for what's to come, but let's just say she's definitely the most unassuming member among the six. And with these introductions, I do like how the anime visualizes how being born of Vegapunk's brain means all six of them are inexplicably linked together. So they basically feel, hear, and generally experience all the same things. Like with York's eating, actually providing nutrition of sorts to Edison and the others, but also passing on the side effects of her overeating as well. So it's a goofy scene in itself, but it does show just how the connection between the satellites and just how the six Vegapunks actually work. It's a nice way of diving into the mechanics of these clones. Now, if I did have a criticism with the episode, it ended on one of the most frustrating cliffhangers I've ever experienced watching the show, as it ends with the revelation that, yeah, a lot of the technology of this island was developed off the blueprints, schematics, and just the general ideas and technology that existed during the Void Century, which in itself shows whatever the island that used to be, whatever that island that was destroyed by the government, whatever it used to be, it truly was an island that would have pushed the world into the future. And the problem I have, and don't get me wrong, this is an amazing reveal, but the problem I have is that the episode cuts to black the moment that revelation is made, and I would like to have gotten a little bit more, although I do like how the episode overlaid Shaka and the Straw Hats conversation with the reveal of the giant that Luffy's group discovered at the end of the episode. Like, that was pretty cleverly spliced together, but yeah, again, it's one of those episodes where I wouldn't have minded if they did just do an extra little bit more, but given that we are going to get the full backstory of how Vegapunk accomplished all this next week, it's something I can forgive. It's just the ending is such a cock tease that I'm like, fuck, I wanted more. Also, so I guess in that sense you could say it's one of those good problems to have than anything else. Also, I'm not gonna lie, there were a lot of times watching this episode where I had to keep reminding myself Lilith does become more tolerable after this point, because this is kind of another example, like with pretty much a little bit of a, not so much the same, but a similar example to Ulti and Wano, where the actress who's playing Lilith does too good a job of playing the character, as they captured a lot of Lilith's more annoying traits a little too well. But again, Lilith does mellow out after this point. It's just that chunk. I was reminded. Okay, it's gonna take. Okay, yeah, I gotta. Okay, just bear with it. She pretty much gets better after this. She mellows out. She gets better after this point. So it's like, yeah, it's like Lilith is like. Lilith early, I forgot how much Lilith early on did kind of annoy me a bit. Not as much as Ulti, but definitely had some pain points for me. They were like, okay, please move. Please move out of the way. So in that sense, I guess you could say I actually kind of sympathize with the other satellites in that regard. Um, although getting although getting back to the point about Egghead truly being an island that resurrected the Void Century in a fashion, it it truly does kind of show that just why the government has wanted to keep the knowledge of the Void Century under wraps for so long. Because when you look at what Egghead truly is, the government when you look at all of that Egghead is, like the government is truly afraid of the void was truly afraid of the Void Century's power and still technically are, because they, I think to an extent, they realize this kind of technological advancement can actually usurp this kind of technological prowess can actually usurp them, usurp everything that the world government is. And yet, ironically enough, they have still, yet ironically enough, the world government, the like the world government, the other stars, the even I think to a certain extent the maybe even the celestial dragons, they've still in some form or another commissioned the use of this technology in the form of the pacifistas, among other things. So it truly is one of the biggest hypocrisies of being afraid of something, but still utilizing the knowledge for one's own ends. Which just the implication of that really says that karma needs to bite the world government in the ass hard at this point. Like there's no escaping the fact that they need to suffer a huge loss beyond this point. And given what's going on in the manga right now, I don't think there's a better time to do it in this arc than in this arc. But that's a discussion for another time for sure. But yeah, as a whole, I'm like, okay, world government, you need to fucking just you need to fucking die. Like you need to suffer like the biggest humiliating loss on the planet. Just saying. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime signing off. Later, everyone.